should we hard launch right now that I'm taking the Psychoesin professional Mahjong exam? Do you want to hard launch that on your podcast?
Yes.
Sure. Let's hard launch it on your
Yes.
podcast. That's the downside, but the upside is that my ops and haters could eat it, right? Like, you know, like, bro, what are you gonna say to me? Oh, my haters become my waiters when I eat at the table of success. That's it, right? That's it. That's it. I'm eating at the table of success, baby.
What's up, guys? I've been really looking forward to this episode. My guest today started with just a few friends and ended up building America's largest Riichi Mahjong club. It's a full nonprofit organization with 12 officer positions, annual elections, and a professionally broadcast league now in its 4th season. She founded the club 1 week before the pandemic shut everything down, met her husband at one of their meetups, and just hard launched on this very episode that she's studying for her professional Mahjong certification. She's the president of Riichi Nomi, New York City, Claire Pozniak. So you founded Riichi Nomi in March of 2020, like right as pandemic hit. So can you kind of walk me through those like first few months and how did you build your Mahjong community when you couldn't actually sit down together at the table together?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of an accident, which is kind of funny. So we had this idea before the pandemic broke out that, it would be fun if, me and a group of friends, we got together to play Mahjong. We're all in New York. There's so many public places where you can hang out and play board games, Mahjong included. We met for the first time that day in March 2020. And I think 1 week after the quarantine started. And so it became this funny thing, we had our first official meeting, we had a Discord server, we're all feeling amazing about it, wearing masks, but feeling amazing. And then 1 week after, everything shut down. So it was kind of like a funny origin because we had to really rapidly transition to playing online. But luckily, there are a ton of really good Riichi Mahjong. So my club plays Riichi, Japanese Mahjong. And there's a lot of Mahjong clients that you can play online. And so we really ended up relying on Discord, which is an application where you can communicate with friends and create servers and stuff like that. It's pretty popular with video game communities. So we ended up making a big Discord server where we went on voice call and kind of got our socializing in with each other that way. Because there was kind of a lack of like social interaction in that time and also a lack of Mahjong in that time. So it all kind of came together and we ended up playing a ton of online Mahjong together. And that's how we all became friends. And that was the start of the Mahjong Club, really.
That's so wholesome. What online platform did you guys end up using?
So we mostly use Mahjong Seoul, and that was because at the time, the other major Riichi Mahjong client, which is tenho.net, did not have any English support other than like a Firefox plugin or something like that was made by some guy in England. And that's fine, but it was kind of like a lot of process steps. And especially for people who are newer to the game, they find the server, they want to participate. It's like a lot to walk them through. So we ended up playing on Mahjong Seoul, which is really fun, really cool, has a great tutorial, which really helps people too, and has all the indices for the tiles, like in Arabic numerals, so people know what they're working with. The only downside of which being that it's a very anime-forward game, so if people are not as into the whole anime thing, it can be a little off-putting, but not so much that it's like actively dissuading people from playing. So Mahjong Seoul is the client we mostly played on, and we still play on today.
That's great. And especially like having that Mahjong Soul, like because for other, like you said, like other board game clubs, right? Probably the only option was like Board Game Simulator on Steam. I think that's what it's called, or Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, Tabletop Simulator. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys finally did end up meeting in person, how was that like? Were there people who you were playing online with, like meeting in person for the first time? And yeah, how was that whole system? How was that whole situation?
It was really fun, actually, because people were still so concerned about the virus, we ended up playing outdoors. So we played at a park in New York called Bryant Park, which is in Midtown Manhattan, and they have a games section, which is perfect, with square tables. We would bring our sets and mats there and like get to know each other wearing our masks, playing in person on the tables a little bit where there's better ventilation. So like you're not sitting in someone's house or something like that. And that ended up being really fun too. And something that honestly I wish we could even go back to now. Like unfortunately and fortunately, the club has grown way too large for the game section at Bryant Park. Like they only have 6 tables free on a good day. Like our club's just like way bigger than that now. But it was really fun, like playing outside, like in the sunshine. You felt like you were doing something healthy, which is not always a feeling you get when you're playing Mahjong. It's like, I'm socializing, I'm touching grass, I'm in the sun, like there's some vitamin D here. It was like a really nice feeling there. In the summer, sometimes it would get hot and we would all buy popsicles, just like, again, like a real feeling of like warm community, happiness. Like those in-person meetups were really fun when we were in Bryant Park for a while. And we played there for a while before people started getting comfortable enough and the vaccine came out and until people felt comfortable playing in indoor spaces again.
And so that transition, right, from purely online to, finally meeting in person and being outside and doing those, at some point it grew, and at some point you went from just friends playing Mahjong to like a whole incorporated nonprofit with formal bylaws and 12 officer positions and annual elections. So what was that what was that inflection point that made you think that like we actually need some real structure here?
So I think for the first couple of years of the club, so the club's been around since 2020, but we've only been incorporated for I think 3 of those or 4 of those years, so forgive me for my memory being faulty, but it's not since the beginning, because at the beginning we were just like a small group of friends, just like gathering together playing Mahjong, right? The inflection point, I'm pretty sure, was because we were running things like local tournaments and local events, things that had prizes. Even during COVID, we did a lot of online tournaments. Like we would challenge other municipalities at Mahjong Online, then we give a prize to the winner, like the best scoring player, the city who won. Like I think the most like ridiculous of which, we held a championship against Australia. It was New York City versus Australia, just like at large, like the entire continent. And they fielded whoever they could, and we fielded whoever we could. And then we mailed like a trophy to the winner, and t-shirts and sets, just like all this stuff. And it was just coming out of like our pockets, the organizers. Like we were just paying for it because it was fun, right? Like, but there hits a point where like you've put a ton of capital into something where you're like, okay, like I'm actually not sure, I'm not a rich lady. Like I don't know if I can keep funding this indefinitely, just like from my own pockets. And you have a huge, like at that point, like there could be more people, like a community of people who are like willing to chip in. And so that's why we decided to become the nonprofit, because once you have like that legal structure, you can have a banking structure and you can manage the finances and the money like in a much more transparent way and a fair way. That like involves both group accountability of being like, okay, this is what we actually want to spend money on, as opposed to it just being like, I'm Claire, I'm going to spend money on this, right? So that actually helped in a lot of ways, because now there's like a whole process for what we spend money on, a survey at the end of each year being like, what did you like? What should we change about our budget for next year? And that's when we started with the membership model as well. And so that's basically how the club's revenues work, is like you can buy in to be a member. We use most of the membership money to get merchandise that we give to members. And then the rest of it like goes towards other events we do in the club, prizes, stuff like that. Just like things to make it worth it being a member. But we run net zero. We don't make any profit. So it's just like truly, we all pool our money together as a group. We say, okay, I love Mahjong $40. And we all put $40 in. Then with that big pool of money, we do fun things like make Mahjong merchandise, give out sets and mats, whatever it is that strikes our fancy. So I almost forgot what your original question was. I could talk about the finances of Riichi Nomi for a long time. I think about it a lot. Please.
Like that. This is the specific stuff that like I feel like people, including myself, like really want to know about. Like what are the numbers behind making this sustainable?
Yeah, I think sustainability is like a really interesting question, right? Because I do think, so we're not trying to make any money off Riichi Nomi. Like, I have a day job. I work 9 to 5. I love my job. It supports me. Riichi Nomi is my hobby. It's like what they call a 5 to 9. So you have your 9 to 5 and you have your 5 to 9, right? So, like, I think the biggest resource that's, like, tough to come up with sustainability is time. Like, people's free time, especially in New York City, where everyone is so busy, so much social life, a million people to talk to and hang out with, a million events to go to, so much stuff to do. And you're asking people, okay, but I need some of your time to do this. Because you can run a Mahjong meetup on like next to no money, right? Like the spaces we play in are for the most part free. The sets and mats are like one-time capital investments. We own a ton of them now. You don't need to buy them again unless, I mean, they get really worn out, but it doesn't happen a lot. So what you end up needing from people is like, okay, I need some officer of the club to be there every Sunday for 8 hours. Okay, I need somebody who's good with graphic design to log into our social media and post. Okay, I need a webmaster, someone who can use computers to like make us a website and some kind of functional like API call. I don't even know what an API call is. Like something to hook up like our Square sales with a spreadsheet. You know what I mean? So like you need a ton of people with specific expertise who love it enough to give their free time in somewhere like New York. And that's really hard. Like it's a lot to ask. It's hard to find. So that for me is the hardest balance to strike. And I think what it really comes down to is like, first of all, identifying those people who love it so much and are engaging with it so much that they're willing to really give their time to it. And then finding opportunities for them that don't go so much out of the time that they would spend anyways, right? So like somebody who is already like interested in like making a, I don't know, making a product or something like that, be like, oh, what if you were like our manager of products? And like in addition to this, maybe like one or two other things, and like kind of scaling it up in a sustainable way, and then really recognizing the effort that other people are putting in. Because it's easy to think just because, you know, I'm willing to give my entire life to this organization and I don't think twice about it because it's my baby. It's Riichi Nomi. I love it, right?
Yeah.
But like you have to recognize that for other people, this is a choice they're making. Like they could choose to do something else, and being like really appreciative, grateful, taking that time and space to be like, I couldn't do this without you and I really appreciate it. I think that's really important too. Yeah.
And I know that these people that, you know, come and help and support, these are officers that get elected.
Yes.
How did you get to this idea to have this election and specifically pick out these people for these specific tasks?
This is actually like, kind of funny. So how it all started is one of the original founding members of the club, Vince, who's our treasurer and has been our treasurer since the day the club was founded. He's an accountant by day, so he's just like great with money.
Perfect.
He is also in a home brewing club, like brewing beer, which is also a 501c7 nonprofit. And so he was like, hey, when we're thinking about incorporating, he's like, I'm part of this group that's incorporated in this way. I know exactly how it worked because I helped them incorporate. We have their bylaws, we have the officers, like this is how it all works, and it's legal above the board and it works. And we're like, okay, fair enough. Like, seems to fit our model pretty well. We're a group of friends pooling our money together for post-tax purposes. Because I will say, just for background and context, we are a 501c7 nonprofit. So that's different than a 501c3. C3 is a nonprofit charitable organization. So those are organizations seeking to like, you know, combat some kind of social ill or create some kind of social good. And I don't think we can say that about Mahjong. Like, we're certainly having fun with each other, but I'm not sure if we're like, you know, we're not curing cancer or anything. We're just having fun. So we became a 501c7, which is also a nonprofit, but it's a nonprofit social club, which is basically just based on the idea that, you know, we all make our money and we're taxed by the government. So if we pool it together for, you know, a group purpose, we shouldn't be taxed on it again. So it's preventing the double taxing of our money when we put it together to do a social thing together. So that's the 501c7 structure. So we ended up with the bylaws as they are, and the officer positions. There's only 3 that are technically required for the 501c7 nonprofit. That's the president, the treasurer, and the secretary. Beyond that, it's kind of like you said, like it's just meeting the needs of the organization, like the big things that the club does that needs a point person looking after it, or that they function better with a point person looking after it. Yeah.
This is so fascinating to me, and I actually
I'm like really popping off right now. I hope that's not a problem.
I really appreciate it because I'm like, okay, just let her go, let her talk, because this is exactly what like I want to know. This is probably what people who are in similar positions as us want to know, and so What can you tell, or what would you tell a club organizer who is like just starting out and trying to figure out this more formal structure?
I will say that it's not always necessary. Like you shouldn't feel like if you're a
Mm,
group of 8 people playing mahjong in somebody's apartment, like there's no need to incorporate. Like there like you're not if you're not like if you don't have big expenses and you guys are all just happy doing what you're doing, like that's also valid. That's fine. But if you're at the point where you're thinking about, I think truly the point for, and I do think this played a role in Riichi Nomi's inflection point. The big expenses of tournaments is tournaments, like running these big open tournaments. This is common in Riichi Mahjong. I don't know much about other forms of Mahjong, but you basically invite a ton of people from all over the country to your city to play Mahjong there. And you staff it, host it, get a venue for it, and give out prizes for it. And that's like the biggest expense of any club's budget. Like the biggest amount of money coming in and out because there's entry fees and venue costs and like all this stuff, right? So I would say that like if you're at the point where you're thinking you're ready to host your first open tournament, that's definitely the part where you should be thinking about incorporating for liability reasons as well as just for like transparency and accountability over where like a very large sum of money will be going. That's what did it for us. Yeah. And then if you are thinking about it, I do also think that it's useful to consider your different options because 501c7 might not be right for everyone. It has worked fine for us, but there's also the option of going a full nonprofit 501c3 if you think you can like make that case that you're having like a social impact because you do get more benefits from being a 501c3 like a free Google Drive suite and that kind of stuff, which is pretty
mm.
nice. Yeah, I know. I kind of tried to sign up for it as a 501c7, hoping they would take it, and they were like, no, get out of here. I was like, oh, man. But then there's also a lot of mahjong organizations that are just LLCs, right? They're for profit. There's no kind of nonprofit status. They do have to pay taxes, which is like a shame, but that's fine if you're not handling that much money or if you're trying to make a profit yourself, right? And it's valid if you're trying to make money off of it. It's not what we're trying to do, but as the kids say, get that bag. Like, good for you. I hope you make it, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's good for people to hear that there are so many different avenues that you
Yes.
can take it, because everyone's situation is going to be different depending on what you want to do, what variant you play. And I feel like
Yes.
as I've talked to more organizers and that just like, follow different clubs from all over the world, I've kind of like seen the spectrum of kind of what type of events people do. And it goes anywhere from like teaching to like a party like Green Tile Social
Yeah.
Club does,
Yeah.
or competition like what you guys do, or just somewhere in between. So I think it's good for people to hear from these different types of people and different ways of operating to see just kind of what is possible.
Yeah,
And
and
so
it's true. Yeah, that's a good comparison too. Because I do know that there are a lot of Hong Kong Mahjong groups that do focus on large scale social events. That's not something that's done in Riichi Mahjong. Like I don't think there's been like a single large scale social event for Riichi Mahjong that like I can like I mean that's bigger than our holiday party, right? Like there's just like not something that's being done. Like the big events for Riichi Mahjong are these like really strict rules competitions, and everything other than that is like local, social, like just fun to be at kind of stuff. So it is really different, I think, because it's just like a different series of hurdles and challenges depending on what type of event you're trying to work with.
yeah. And okay, so speaking of the types of events that people are trying to do, I know for you guys, you run a weekly 8-hour meetup in Manhattan
Mm-hmm.
and a stream team league with the professional equipment and everything, and
Oh
tournaments
yeah.
with a $1,500 plus prize pool.
Yeah.
And so for organizers trying to figure out, or even better, like what percentage of this for you guys is coming from membership dues and tournament entry fees versus like merchandise and sponsorships? How do you guys specifically run with these finances?
So we have an annual report that is available on the riichinomi.com website, which is part of the really great transparency of being in a 501(c) nonprofit is we have to put these things out, it has to be public. So you can actually see there is a chart in there that shows our inflows, which is like where our different streams of revenue come from, and our outflows, where it ends up going to. In the end, I would say it's like if you consider, so we run the big tournament we run every year, the Riichi Nomi Open, almost completely separately. So we try to run that net zero by itself. So the entry fees is completely equal to the prize pool and the venue fee. Like the entry fees first go to the venue, and then anything left from that goes to door prizes, cash prizes, whatever other materials it takes that we need to get to run the event, like that kind of stuff, right? And then so that's separate. And then for the rest of the stuff, we have the membership merchandise coming in, and that goes towards things like jerseys, custom poker chips, like, like any kind of merchandise we think people might like, enamel pins, lanyards, tote bags, just like physical items, and then also prizes at our little local tournaments, and also renting out spaces for those tournaments. We try to every now and again, a couple times a year, like actually take a paid space. There's a Mahjong studio in Manhattan that we do rent out for some hundreds of dollars a couple times a year. We put some member merchandise, member money into that too. And then the sponsorships also we try to keep to very specific goals as well, just to keep our accounting simple, right? So it's like we get a sponsorship from like a big Mahjong client like Riichi City. If you're watching, Riichi City, thank you for sponsoring us. We appreciate you. And so like that, they give us that specifically for the league. And so then, okay, great. So that goes straight to the league, and it's handled directly without kind of mixing. I mean, it is all mixed together in our bank account, but our accountant keeps it all in kind of separate flows so that it doesn't all get mixed up together. The only kind of like uncategorized inflow we have is through our merchandise sales that we do at anime conventions, which is our biggest source of revenue outside of the members themselves. We show up at these conventions to teach Mahjong, which is a very important like function of the club to get more members coming in. And we also sell anything we have, and we end up kind of making a pretty decent chunk of change doing that, because people want Mahjong, crap for their home. They're like, oh great, like, like a lanyard. I love lanyards. Okay, we sell it and it's all good. So I would say, I guess that's not like an exact answer to your question, but because we're running specifically net zero, we do the tournament, entry fees, prizes and venue, cancel each other out. Money from members goes into whatever the members need, and then to keep it net zero, at the end of the year, any money that we have left over, we throw into a banging holiday party. We're like, all right, any money we've got that we made, that we got from the members, whatever it is, if we have anything left over at the end of the year, we just throw like a complete bash. And that was today, actually. That's why I'm wearing the Christmas sweater. I came from our big holiday bash, a couple $1,000s we give to a venue to feed everyone, and we post up and play Mahjong for a couple hours, and it's like very nice, yeah.
The net zero bash.
Yes, the net zero bash. Our accountant loves it, because I think he would like hate to have like too much extra money. Like, what do we do with it? So, yeah.
That's really eye-opening, and just kind of so thank you so much for getting like so specific into it. And for anyone who is like interested for like really seeing the numbers, I'll leave the link in the description to the report.
Yeah, our annual report. We have a new one coming out soon too, because we put one out after every fiscal year, which we do calendar year, closes up. So
perfect. I will put that in the description. Okay, so for going back to talk about Riichi City, right?
Yes.
How did that sponsorship happen? Did you guys reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? What did that pitch look like?
Yeah, Riichi City is a really cool sponsorship. So it is a very new Mahjong client, only been around for the past couple of years, but we've been kind of involved with them since it launched. They actually reached out to our club as one of the biggest online Mahjong communities in the English-speaking area to beta test a lot of their functions and try them out, see if they work, provide feedback on the client. And then they ended up launching and have become quite successful. Like, they have a pretty solid player base. They're not as large as Mahjong Seoul, but they get very like big name collaborations, and they sponsored like a professional Mahjong team in Japan. So they're doing pretty well for themselves. And they're very well known within the Mahjong community, the Riichi Mahjong community, for being the client that will sponsor you because they want their name everywhere because they're trying to get members in, right? And so I think we've been working with them for a while, and we kind of reached out because we knew they do sponsorships, and we're like, hey, we're Riichi Nomi, we run the biggest club in America, the biggest televised league in America. We would love to have your support for the prize pool in exchange for us promoting your client. And they're really open to it. They're really easy to work with. I strongly recommend it, especially if you're someone who likes custom rule sets or you want some more support for something you're trying to do, because they're really friendly, very open, and communicative on Discord, which is the platform most Mahjong players and organizers are using. Mm-hmm. Which, like, it can't be beat. It's so much better than sending an email to a generic inbox and waiting, like, 4 weeks to see if someone gets back to you, right? Like, it's just so much better to talk to a real person. And since Riichi City is still small enough that, like, that you are actually talking to a real person and not, like, waiting 4 weeks for some, like, PR@company.com to send you back a generic rejection email, which, like, I've gotten a lot of that, too. It's awesome. I highly recommend it.
That is really awesome. And so I know during that answer you touched on the broadcast, the N League broadcast, which I've been watching so much of recently.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad.
Getting ready for this, like watching the live streams, like following along to who's winning and who's losing, and it's just it really is,
right?
It's so much fun. It's so cool. And so for anyone who doesn't know, the N League now is on season 4, which basically you've essentially created the M League, which is the professional Mahjong league in Japan, and you've taken that experience and adapted it for your guys' club, American Riichi. So can you take us behind the scenes when you started this from scratch? What was the idea to do this, and how did you guys go so hard on the broadcast production of this?
Okay, that's a really funny story, actually. So I will say that I did meet my husband at a Riichi Nomi meetup, and and so let's just start there. Let's like wind it back so far.
All right.
But back when we had just started to date and like beginning to think about moving in with each other, whatever, we went on a date somewhere in Brooklyn. And when we came out, he was like, "Claire, I've got this crazy idea." And I was like, "Oh God, like what is it?" And he was like, "I think we should run a streamed league like in Japan, like M League." And I immediately brushed it off. I was like, "Andres, that sounds like so much work that I'm going to have to do. Like, do you think I'm not doing enough work? Like, you think I can run a streamed league? That's insane." And so, of course, like, we ended up doing it, right? Because, like, I can't say no to a really fun project. And it is a fun project. It ended up being that way because every season, so I was like, okay, we'll do it this really low budget way. Like, we don't need any equipment, really. We'll use iPhones people already have, just, like, with the video cameras turned on. Use OBS Ninja if you're familiar with it to like send in some camera. I don't even know if we had commentators that first season. Maybe we didn't. Maybe it was just video feed. Like it was really low tech. But there's something about the Riichi Mahjong community that if you do something technological and it's not perfect, they're very excited to tell you how it could be better. And so it ended up being this thing where, like, whatever we did, someone was like, "Why are you doing this? Do this instead." And, like, we just, like, it kind of scope creeped up. We're like, okay, now all of a sudden we have 4 cameras. Okay, now all of a sudden we have commentators. Okay, now, it just, like, kept going until, like, we found ourselves on this season. And now, at this point, because it's been, like, running pretty knocking on like every wood right now, like pretty smoothly. So now we're at the point that we're like, okay, what next, right? And we're at that fun point now where we can start asking the questions ourselves. Like, okay, what should we do this season? Should we do table audio? Should we have an overhead camera? Should we add something to the overlay? So, but it did come originally from a place of being like, oh, this is not good. How could this be better? And if you go back and watch season 1, it's kind of like a nightmare. Like, I watch back, I get like PTSD. I'm like, how do we release this? Like, this is so bad. It's so bad. Like, the video recording was like too hard for the old iPhones to do without overheating, because the games can last like many hours, right? And they would like get so hot, they would like fry. I fried a laptop trying to like send 4 HDMI inputs into like one computer just by putting on a dongle with 4 HDMIs. I was like, it can handle 4 video feeds. Why wouldn't my little laptop be able to do that? It just like died. I killed it. Just like a comedy of kind of errors, figuring out how stuff works. And It's funny for me specifically, I will say, because I'm a social worker, like by training and trade, like I have no technological expertise whatsoever. Like barely operate a computer, and now here I am in front of like, like 8 cameras, a ton of wires. I'm like, oh no, of course you need the capture card here. It's like, who am I? I don't even recognize myself anymore. It's kind of funny.
So, how do you guys handle the production side of this? Is it volunteer? Do you pay people, and how has the technology improved, and what goes into it?
So the production side of things, so a requirement for playing in the league is that every player needs to take a volunteer shift to help the league at least once. And that's enough to get us through about half the season with everyone volunteering once. But there's people who don't mind helping out because they really like the league, and we do lean on those people. And also for volunteers outside of the league who just like love seeing it happen, they help out a lot. And I'm in charge of the scheduling, which is so fun. So basically every single week, so every Friday, we have a cast of staff that includes 2 commentators, one person on site switching through the cameras, 2 referees, one for each table, and then one person manning an overlay, which keeps the scores updated, which you may have seen if you've watched it before, and inputs when the scores change and the rounds change, the Dora changes, so on and so forth. So that's what, 2 commentators, overlay, referee, and a camera guy. So that's at least 5 volunteers every week, right? And so it's this like LSAT logic problem of like who's free, who's good at what, like who's close enough to come in person to switch a camera versus who's quick enough with scoring to come and run our overlay. So figuring all that out is like such a, it's like a soft skills and a hard skills thing, because you need to like really work with people's skills, talents, identities, and egos at the same time as like making sure the league runs smoothly, which at the end of the day is my responsibility, right? But I will say I would be completely remiss if I did not, at this moment, thank one particular person. His name is Julian Amano, and he is the programmer who did the overlay for Nomi League. It would not run without it, because that's what keeps the scores updated and the player's photo on the screen, and just like everything that you see that pops up on like the live stream that's not the actual game itself was coded, programmed, designed by Julian. We didn't even ask. He just came to us one day. He was like, wouldn't it be better if we had an overlay like this? He just made it himself from scratch. Wow. Incredible guy. Really, really, really incredible. The league would not be possible without him, and we're so grateful for everything he's done. He just like really wanted there to be an Emily-style league in New York and keeps having ideas for how it can be better, and super, super incredible. When you find those people, cherish them.
Shout out. Thank you to him,
Big shout out
because
to Julian.
I have benefited greatly from his hard work in watching.
Yeah, right? Like the biggest thing he added last season was the terminology dictionary.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you've seen it. So
yes.
if the commentators say something obscure, the definition will pop up. That's so good, right?
So
my God.
Good.
Great guy.
Because
great guy.
when I was watching, I was like, man, like sometimes, because I'm not solely a Riichi Mahjong player, I don't know all the terminology all the time. And so when I started noticing that these dictionary definitions would pop up, I was like, this is great.
It helps so much. It helps so much. And it is like one of the big challenges in Riichi Mahjong, or not a big challenge, but a medium challenge in Riichi Mahjong, is that there's a huge amount of variability in how people refer to the different terms, because some people just use the Japanese term because it already exists, it's convenient, and that's how a lot of books, strategy books, will have it. Some people use a fully Americanized terms, like on Mahjong Soul you've probably seen they call Tanyao all simples. So there's like differences in how things are referred to, and then there's some things that have never been translated at all, because American Mahjong's like, we're not publishing our own strategy books yet, right? Like it just hasn't come up. And so like for those words that have no definition, like what are you gonna do, right? Like there is no word in English for it yet. There just isn't anything. So you're gonna just say it in Japanese and pray the person gets it. And so the dictionary, I think, was the biggest awesome improvement from last season for sure.
And so what, besides that, or what do you think is the biggest challenge in making Mahjong watchable for an audience, and especially an audience who may be interested but not exactly fully into the culture and the terminology and everything?
Yeah, and this is something that I've been thinking a lot about this season as well. And it kind of like, we haven't started talking about it yet, but it plays into like the challenges of Riichi Mahjong as a game, right? It's because Riichi Mahjong as a game is a little sweaty. It's like, it's not actually all that fun, right? I mean, like, it's very fun, but it's like very much like, it's like technical, analytical. It's statistics. It's statistics combined with luck that's gonna like mess you over every time, right? It's like, it's really like, it's very, very hard to get people to the level of like invested in it because it's hard to dramatize. Like the games last hours. It's very hard to tell what's going on unless you already know. And the audience of people who already know how Riichi Mahjong works is pretty much captured, right? Like the people who want to watch a televised league of Riichi Mahjong, who know Riichi Mahjong, they're watching. So the question is like exactly like you said, like how do we get this to the people who either don't know Riichi Mahjong or don't watch Riichi Mahjong? And it's tremendously hard to do because it's like a massive time commitment for something that's very arcane. We've had some like fun ideas about how we can tackle this. The most funny one that I really want to implement is like making it more like a what kind of show is it again? Like Big Brother, you know, like confessionals, like where you like take someone to the side and you're like, so what did you really think when you dealt it? Like to add the human element, because if we can't make the game more approachable, which we can't, it's Riichi Mahjong. It's always going to be filled with like arbitrary rules and terminology you don't understand, right? But if we at least make it so like, oh my god, he said that about her. Oh, people love that, right? Like, oh my god, did you see that? That people would tune in for that, I think. So, but I don't really know how to combine that with my professional Mahjong league goal. Or like, it's not professional, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's it definitely is two different lanes for the, because as you said, it is pretty sweaty. So these people are competitive. They're taking it seriously, and
Very.
and part of that is that, trying to add a more fun or quirky element to it. Does it detract from it? Does it add to it? I don't know, because
I
it
don't know
does.
either.
It definitely seems like, something like that would add for certain people. Maybe these people, like we were talking about, who aren't exactly completely in it, like the people you've already captured are.
Yeah.
But does that add to the people who you have already captured? Who really
Yeah.
knows? But
If you want, oh, sorry, you
I
first.
really respect and like admire what you guys are doing, because like regardless, you guys are really pushing the envelope forward for what is possible for not only Riichi Mahjong, but just like Mahjong in general to be broadcasted and watched and consumed here in America. So
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that because we do like it's a huge effort of love and labor. And I like to tell my mom that this is why she's not going to have grandkids because I already have a baby. Like I couldn't have a real child. Like this takes up too much of my time and attention. There's no way. I will say one other really fun idea we had as we've been dealing with this question of like how to increase the viewership is we've been thinking about starting to simulcast in multiple languages at the same time with the idea that, even within, so there is some Mahjong streams in English that you can watch. But I think there's probably like a really big untapped audience of people who speak other languages. Like we've been thinking about simulcasting in Spanish and sending it around to like the South American clubs, the clubs in Spain, and being like, hey, you want to watch Mahjong live, commentated in Spanish? Could be cool, right? Another idea we had is partnering with the Hong Kong League, which I don't know if you've heard of them before, but they are running their own M League copy of Riichi Mahjong Team League, very similar to Nomi League in Hong Kong. And they're doing a really cool job too. They have a really similar setup to us. And it could be cool to do like a exchange program where like, we have some Cantonese commentary and they get some English commentary. That's an idea I had as well. Yeah.
that would be super awesome.
It'd be cool,
There's
right?
there's so many possibilities that
Yeah.
you can take, which I think is probably the most inspiring, or I'll use that as a word. Inspiring part about this whole thing is that you can take it kind of wherever you want to, because it
Yeah.
is completely untapped. It is
Right.
a frontier, and you guys are charting it. And I know that like doing all of this takes up so much of your time, which
Yes.
is why I did want to ask you, like, balancing being the organizer and the president of your club and also being an avid player yourself, because I know you won your first open tournament in Montreal in 2022. You
Woo.
placed at You've placed at EMA events, which European Mahjong Association for people who don't know, and you're a captain in N League. So how do you manage running the club and balancing being a competitive player and being a team captain? And do you ever find that like one role kind of takes over the others?
I think that it's like anything else in adult life where sometimes certain things need more attention than other things. And it just comes down to good time management of being like, okay, what's the most urgent for right now? Like prioritizing, okay, this is happening really soon. This needs to happen. Not assuming you can keep it all in your head because that's like physically not possible. I rely entirely on my Google Calendar. Thank you so much for sending me a Google Calendar invite for this interview because I need that. Because like the schedule gets so full. The tasks are so many. Like you need lists, you need calendars. You can't do it all on your own. And to that point too, that is the reason why Riichi Nomi has so many officers, right? It's because it's not possible for one person to do it all. The best you can do is delegate down and hope that the people who are good at what they do what they're doing, and all I need to do is follow up with them. Hey, have you done this yet? How's it going? Do you need help with anything, right? And just like keeping my hands on all the pots to make sure that everything is kind of cooking the way it's supposed to, so that I can step in and grab a pot off the fire if it's a little overdone, while also just like letting things simmer so that in the moments that I need to focus on me, I can do that as well, right? I will also say it helps. I work for the city government of New York, and a blessing of working in city government is they don't ask that much of you outside your 9 to 5. It's not like a lot of people in New York have these like corporate jobs that really require you to like work until 8, work until 9, like socialize all the time, that like really suck the soul out of you, especially in those years when you're most energetic and productive, like, the 20 to 40 range. Um, but because I work for the city government, I'm able to just log off at 5, go home and have the rest of my night for whatever mixture that I need to do. Like sometimes, yes, I need to lock in and do my mahjong work, as I call it, right? Like, okay, we got to do the mahjong work. We got to make sure the books are balanced. We got to make sure the posts are going on social media. But then other nights, I'm like, no, I just want my girls to come over and play mahjong. Like sometimes you just want to play the game. Exactly, right? So I actually have um, 3 friends here now who are going to play with me when our interview is over. So that's the balance, right? Be like, okay, I need an
Sweet.
hour for an interview, and then I'm going to go play an hour of mahjong with my friends, and it's just time management, right? A little bit of
Amazing.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely feel like as organizers, we kind of lose the ability to just sit down and kind of play games casually because we're so busy running things and teaching
Yes.
people and running back and
Yes.
forth between this and that.
100%.
So it's really endearing to hear that, you find that time management to be able to, continue to play along with doing your mahjong work. And
And I will say too, and to that point, it's about like making your own spaces because when you're in that space as an organizer, like for me at the holiday party today, right? I can't play mahjong. Like you see someone coming over and like they play mahjong, or I need to work with the hosts to make sure that like enough appetizers are getting passed around, or like like there's too much to do. Like, and even if there was nothing to do, you'd have to make sure everyone else is having a good time first. That's the whole reason, because if people aren't having fun, they won't come back. Or maybe they will, but like you still want them to have a good time, right? So I make my own spaces if I want to play mahjong. Like I'll invite my friends over. I'm blessed enough to have 3 automatic tables in my own apartment. So like,
sweet.
I know it's really fun. It's really fun. So like, I do my Riichi Nomi thing and I run it and I hope everyone has a great time. And I make my own space for like playing Maj Soul on the couch or having my friends over for like a quiet game with a glass of wine. And like that's how I keep it balanced. Yeah.
And what are your personal ambitions as a player rather than an organizer?
Should we hard launch right now that I'm taking the Psychoesin professional mahjong exam? Do you want to hard launch that on your podcast?
Yes.
Sure. Let's hard launch it on your
Yes.
podcast. Yeah, I got
Yes,
asked by the
please.
Saikoisen Professional Mahjong League. It's a professional league in Japan. They've recently branched into a American outpost. They're one of the first organizations recruiting professional players in America. And they asked me if I would like to take the test to try to become a pro. So I'm actually really hopeful. I'm very nervous because the test is super hard. Like, even for someone like me who's been playing Mahjong for like 15 years, it quizzes you on stuff that you just like don't see in day-to-day Mahjong. Like, really, really
Wow.
tough stuff. Like the kind of thing where your hand is all one suit of tiles and you've got like 30 seconds to figure out like all of the weights that you're waiting on. Or like they give you a really obscure hand that's got like 90 fu and they're like, how many points is this? And you're like, oh, I don't know. So there's a lot of studying because it's a timed exam. It's 2 days long. There's like an interview portion. There's a playing
Wow.
portion. They fly in pros from Japan to come evaluate you. So it's going to be really tough and I do need to find some time to study for it. To the time management thing, I do need to find some time to study for it because it's not the kind of test you can pass without studying, even if you've been playing for a very long time. But I'm really hopeful because if I became a pro, that would like be a huge step up in my mahjong career, right? I'd be like, oh my god, like Claire Pozniak, professional mahjong player, like that's awesome. So I'm really
That
hopeful, but
that
nervous.
is awesome because I knew that
Yeah.
there's professional tests in Japan. I think
Yes.
the one person I know most who kind of bridges that gap between like the Japanese speaking people and the and English speaking people is Jen Barr.
Yes.
And I've heard her speak about her experience taking the professional test over there. And so, wow, I did not know that. Well, so that is incredible, and I'm really rooting for you. And definitely, that would be so great just for your mahjong resume, like
I
professional
know,
mahjong
right?
player. That's
Right.
crazy.
Dude, like it would be so awesome. And I will say I was really like when I was younger, just barely getting into the game in high school, really motivated by Jen Bar, really inspired by Jen Bar. Like I saw her go pro in Japan, I was like, "Oh my god, like that's so epic. I want to do that someday." And then of course I realized that like one cannot simply move to Japan. Like you can't just do that. Like it's actually like quite hard to do, especially if your career is government. Like really hard to just go working in a foreign government. Actually kind of impossible. So anyways, like of course that was never like in the cards for me. But then when they brought it over to America, I was like, oh, could this be my moment? And I don't know. We'll see, right? We'll see. The issue is that it's super expensive to become a pro. Like the test is
Mm.
like it's hundreds of dollars to take the test, hundreds of dollars to keep a pro licensure. So it's like something that you need to really feel like oh, this is serious. Like I am a serious player. It's worth the expense to me, and I'm gonna prove it to everyone by taking this test, passing, and really being doing the pro thing. So that's the downside, but the upside is that my ops and haters could eat it, right? Like like I'm a pro. What are you gonna say to me?
Certified
We have
pro.
yeah, right. We have the mayor in New York right now. He's about to leave, but he has a famous quote, which is just like an insane thing. He says a ton of insane stuff. Eric Adams, and he says, like, oh, my haters become my waiters when I eat at the table of success. That's it, right? That's it. That's it. I'm eating at the table of success, baby. Oh,
That's amazing.
I know it's
So,
great.
okay, this is more of a personal question. This is more of a personal question. I don't know if I will exactly include this in the final interview,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. No
do they
worries.
give you did they give you like um educational material like study material for this?
100%, yeah. So there in untranslated in Japanese, there are a bunch of professional exams from the past. They publish the old ones so you can see the types of
Mm,
questions being asked, so on and so forth. But then
mm-hmm,
also the people who brought so I only know for Saiko Isen. I know a little bit. There's two pro organizations in America at the moment. There's Saiko Isen and then there's the World Riichi Pro Mahjong, which is a different one. The one that reached out to me that I'm thinking about taking the test for and joining is they run like online study sessions where they go over different parts of the test, strategies for studying for it, and like different ways to quickly and accurately answer the questions. So you can really get a handle on the material, which
mm.
is super, super helpful. I think they probably do something similar for the World Reaching protest.
Huh. That's super cool. I'm so excited
Yeah,
for you.
it's a little
That's
sweaty though,
awesome.
right? I mean, this is like exactly what I'm saying. Like Riichi Mahjong is just like such a sweaty game. Like, what do you mean the most exciting thing is like I'm gonna pay hundreds of dollars to take a time test, which I haven't done since I took like the GREs. You know, like it's been 10 years. Like, but that's the fun of Riichi Mahjong. It's a sweaty game. Like, let's try hard and do our best. I don't know.
Riichi Mahjong can get
Thank
sweaty,
you.
and I think that's part of the fun of it, especially
Yeah.
because the demographic is mostly gamers, and gamers love to game. So,
Yes.
so
Oh
it's
yeah.
just a
They love watching the
yeah.
number go
It's
up.
just
That's
it's
it,
just
right? Higher rank, more points. It's like,
and
yeah.
also I think that is something really interesting about Ricci in particular is the maybe not the focus, but like it kind of pushes you to build value hands. Uh, because especially with like I think the easiest example is like a Dora tile. For people who don't know how to play Ricci, Dora is like basically
Yeah.
bonus points. If you have one, you get bonus points. Easiest way to say it. That
Yeah.
it really like pushes you to try to build those value hands, and I think accentuates the different play styles that people have, which I think is really fun and very exciting when you're actually in the game.
I do think that even within Riichi Mahjong, there's a ton of variance in the rule sets people play with too. Like some people play with the red fives and some people don't. And some people play with busting turned on, where it ends if you go under 0 points, and other people don't. And just like it's really fun with all the different rule sets and all the different ways that like skill can be expressed. Um, the only thing that's for sure that I think all Mahjong players agree on is that the best way for skill to be expressed is over many, 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 many games. Because the game does have like such a luck element, like over just 1 game, 2 games, 8 games, even over like just 20 games. Like luck can be such a huge factor in the outcome and the scores at the end. But after if you stay playing for hundreds thousands of games, it will definitely the skill will be expressed by the end. Yeah.
So the next 5 years, how do you see Riichi Nomi in the next 5 years? And also, I know that you are on the board of the ARA, the American Riichi Association, and so you're kind of helping shape national level Riichi. So what's your vision? Where does this go for both Riichi Nomi and also just Riichi Mahjong in general?
Wow, fun and big question. We're doing some 5 year goals here. Okay, so I think it's easier to say for the ARA, right? Because that's like such a big organization that it's a little more abstract. Like our goal, my goal, very generally, is to make Mahjong more widespread, popular, and consistent across America. So more clubs, more tournaments, more like everything well run, consistent, like and people having a great time and the game spreading a ton to a ton more people, national level goal. And I really, really would love to see Riichi Mahjong get there to that level of like professional organization that you see in Europe. The European Mahjong Association is super well organized. The level you see in other games, even like in Scrabble or volleyball or whatever it is, right? Just like a really well functioning organization. And that's definitely part of my 5 year goals for ARA. For Riichi Nomi, it's harder to say, right? Because we're already so big that we're like almost at the capacity of our current meetup spot. So the question becomes what next, right? Like, if we already are taking up like 11, 12, 13 tables of players every single Sunday, like, is the goal exponential growth? And I would love the answer to be yes. So then I think that 5 year goal is figuring out how to contain all of that, right? And like what sort of spaces we need to have, how much we can keep doing for free, how many new members we can get, how we can combat attrition. These are all part of the 5 year plan and like continuing to be the best, the biggest, the brightest Mahjong club in America. Fun problems to have to tackle, but certainly like real things that I think about all the time. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you and try to talk shop and just get all the experience and knowledge out of your head, but we could leave it there. Thank you so much, Claire, for agreeing to have this conversation with me and coming and sharing so much knowledge as you've done. You and your club are big inspirations for me, and I'm sure, like you said, so many other clubs that are popping up. And I think you guys are really spearheading and kind of the gold standard of really trying to push Mahjong into the mainstream, or if not the mainstream, just to as many people as possible.
Thank you
And
so
so
much.
I just want to thank you so much for that.
No, I appreciate definitely being given the time to talk about it too. I love talking about Riichi Nomi. I love Riichi Nomi. I love that you love what we're putting out because we do put a ton of love into it. So, very happy to take the time to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Claire, for coming onto the podcast and sharing your wisdom and sharing your knowledge and just your infectious energy of everything Mahjong, Riichi Nomi, Riichi Mahjong, and all of that good stuff. It was honestly such an honor talking to you, not only just because of who you are and the club that you run, but just the impact that it's had on my own life. Seeing your club and, being able to have this conversation with you is just like such a full circle moment for me when I started really getting into this stuff. Clubs like yours were the gold standard. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you found something in here interesting and funny, or all of the above. And thanks for watching and spending a little time between rounds. I've been Jacob. Peace out.